Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our viewers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. So this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, July 21st, 2023. Now on the front page, we have a great picture of something that is coming soon to Neepawa by Owen Devereaux. The shovels are in the ground for a highly anticipated new business venture in Neepawa. On Monday, July 17th, a group of investors, contractors, and local dignitaries all gathered to officially commemorate the start of construction for the new Best Western Plus Hotel. The upscale hotel complex is being built just slightly north of the junction of Highways 16 and 5 on the southern portion of what was locally known for many years as the CN property. The new building will feature 72 rooms, including several executive-style suites, as well as a full pool, water slides, and convention center. Murray Parrott, who represents the 40-person shareholders group that wanted to bring a hotel franchise to Neepawa, spoke on behalf of those investors at the groundbreaking event. He said that there is an incredible amount of elation for all involved to finally reach this day. And it goes on to say, it's been a 6-year journey, and there has been an awful lot that's happened in those 6 years. But we're very happy to have reached this moment, said Parrott. As for partnering with a brand such as Best Western Plus, Parrott said it was very important for the investors to collaborate with a well-regarded and respected business. Fellow investor Marvin Beaumont elaborated on Parrott's point. He said there were several hotel chains that identified Neepawa as being the next logical market to establish themselves in within Manitoba. So when the local group of investors started looking for who we should go with, the more we researched, the more it seemed Best Western Plus was clearly the right choice. On the other side of the partnership is BWH Hotels, the global parent company of Best Western Plus. Gillis Landry, owner and operator of a Best Western Plus in Winnipeg, has aided the local investors group through the entire process. He was on hand for the official groundbreaking ceremony and spoke with the Banner and Press after the festivities concluded. He said they are very impressed with the local investors and see great potential in Neepawa. With this new location, we will now have 10 Best Western Plus in Manitoba. A decade ago, it was only 2. We've been careful with our placements, partnering with investors in communities that we felt had potential, and Neepawa is very much like that, a growing community and a great location. I think this will be very good for the town and everyone involved, noted Landry. The establishment of a new hotel in Neepawa also means more than just a few new local jobs and a comfortable stop for weary travelers. It will also put the community into consideration for a variety of events and other business ventures. While he was unable to offer any specifics, Parrott noted there has been inquiries already from a few interested parties. Since the sign has gone up, our Economic Development Officer, Marilyn Crew, has received a lot of inquiries from outside our Neepawa catchment area. So we do have people looking closely at Neepawa now. As well, we've already had people wanting to build next to us, so we're being cautious on how we're doing things, but it's definitely great for the town, stated Parrott. You know, I was asked by one group who are planning an event for March of 2024. We told them, well, we're not going to open until around September 24. So they came back and indicated, okay, well, we'll plan for March of 2025 for now. So an opportunity like this is all about accommodation and availability. That's the one thing Neepawa has really needed, is access to accommodation. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, the hotel is looking at a September 2024 completion. Between 12 and 14 staff positions are expected to be created from the hotel. And here we have a couple of pictures of what the new hotel is going to look like once it's completed. This one looks like it's in the daytime and in the nighttime, and it's very, very nice looking building. And on the front also, it shows a picture of the official groundbreaking for the Best Western Plus in Neepawa, held Monday, July 17th. Representatives for the local shareholders group, as well as Best Western Plus, Stride Credit Union, the constituency of Agassiz, and the town of Neepawa all participated in this event. Very nice. Now on the next page we have an artist transformation of Neepawa's Hidden Hollow. The Neepawa business known as Hidden Hollow, the Kids Store and more has been continuing its steady transformation recently. Throughout the past week, local artists Katie Martin and Megan Peters have been working on the wall, creating a large and eye-catching mural. In this picture, we have shades of green that were applied to act as a base for the mural. Peters can be seen applying a coat of the paint in the photo here. Here. And then in this one, the outline of a tree is carefully painted by Martin. And in this picture, this is what the mural looked like on the morning of July the 18th. So it's not quite completed, but it's looking very, very interesting. So people will have to check that out. Now, the Roxy Theatre. July 26th and 27th, showtime 7:30 p.m. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Miles Morales catapults across the multiverse, where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. When the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles must redefine what it means to be a hero. Rated PG. And then August 2nd and 3rd, also at 7:30, it's a movie called Elemental. So check that out. Helen Drysdale, Out of Helen's Kitchen. This week it's entitled Robin Hood. The year is 1915. Nellie McClung presents a petition to the Alberta legislature demanding women's suffrage. In Flanders Fields is written by Canadian poet and physician Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. Alexander Graham Bell makes the first coast-to-coast long-distance phone call from a landline. And Robin Hood Flour Mills published the first of many cookbooks. Opened in 1909 at Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Robin Hood Flour Mills, with its green and red archer emblem, established itself as one of the most trusted names in Canadian kitchens. Their cookbook took over 2 years and $10,000 to make, and specifically promoted Robin Hood flour. The cookbook's foreword states, "No pains have been spared to make the Robin Hood cookbook the finest example of modern printing." Written by Mrs. Rohrer, an author of many books on cooking, it featured beautiful artwork by the artist Mr. Moen. My grandmother immigrated from France in 1912 as a teenager with her family. She later acquired this cookbook and used it to help feed her family of 8 children. I am proud to have inherited this cookbook for my collection. My grandma's copy features splatters of the ingredients used in the recipes she made. I know which recipes she favored the most by the amount of splatters. I also have a newer version from 1950 given to my mum at her wedding shower. Its foreword states, "We hope this book will be your gold mine of bright ideas, your friend indeed, that nobody can ever borrow it from you without being made to cross her heart and hope to die that she'll bring it back the next day." Today's Robin Hood recipe are icebox cookies, aka refrigerator cookies. Whip up several batches of this cookie dough and refrigerate for up to 5 days or freeze for up to 3 months. When your favorite mother-in-law phones to say she's coming over or you are craving homemade cookies, just slice and bake. It's just that simple. This recipe is basic dough and can be made as is. Chocolate chips do not work in this dough as they do not slice. And then there's many variations of the dough. So there's your basic recipe, and then the variations are like poppy seeds, oatmeal, rum and raisin, butterscotch, sprinkle cookies, and coconut cookies. All right, 40% of vehicles travel above posted speed limits submitted by Manitoba Public Insurance. Speeding on Manitoba roads continues to be one of top contributing factors in serious and often deadly collisions, with 40% of vehicles found traveling above the posted speed limit in a recent MPI province-wide study. Of these vehicles, 7% were traveling more than 10 kilometers above the posted speed limit. The 2022 study, which included over 1.2 million vehicles at over 50 different urban and rural locations throughout the province, was designed to better understand how frequently drivers were speeding on Manitoba's roadways. MPI plans to use the findings to improve existing programs and develop new targeted initiatives to reduce speeding. MPI data has consistently shown us that speed is a contributing factor in almost 20% of all fatal collisions annually. And this latest study tells us that remains a common and risky habit for many drivers, said Satvir Jatana, MPI's Chief Customer Officer. No matter what road you're on, he said, when you're behind the wheel, it's important to drive the speed limit for that area and remember to adjust for weather, road, and traffic conditions. Preliminary fatal collision data shows that speed was the primary contributing factor in approximately 30% of the fatalities that have occurred on Manitoba roads to date in 2023. New electronic speed display sign program. To increase drivers' awareness of their traveling speeds, MPI is launching a new program this fall to provide electronic speed displayed signs to interested municipalities and First Nations. As part of the program, MPI will fund the purchase of up to 35 signs in 2023 and an additional 20 signs in 2024 with no cost to the communities. The results of our pilot program conducted last year found that electronic signs are effective in reducing vehicle speeds and making our roads safer for all road users, Jatana said. Tips to manage your speed. Follow these road safety tips to always keep your speed in check. Plan your route and give yourself enough time to safely reach your destination. Use cruise control to avoid inadvertently going over the speed limit. Maintain a safe following distance, which means a 4-second distance in ideal driving conditions. And remember, when passing by a roadside vehicle, emergency vehicle, you must move to the farthest lane from the scene whenever possible. In this situation, drivers also are required to slow down to 40 kilometers an hour when the posted speed limit is below 79 kilometers an hour, or 60 kilometers an hour when the posted speed limit is 80 kilometers an hour or higher. Now, there's another article about that hotel plan. Murray Parrott speaks to Rotary Club about new hotel plan by Ken Waddell of the Neepawa Banner and Press. On page 7 of last week's Neepawa Banner and Press, a photo was shared showing the beginning of the groundwork for Neepawa's Best Western Plus Hotel. Just after print deadline, spokesperson Murray Parrott made an update presentation to the Neepawa Rotary Club on Wednesday, July the 12th. Parrott said the project started in 2017-18, but had been delayed for a number of reasons, but the intervening years have brought about some exciting changes. He said, we started out with 63 rooms, then 67, then 69, and now the plan is set at 72 rooms. The extra rooms came about as a result of rearranging stairways and maintenance and laundry facilities. Parrott and members of the group visited many other hotels and found out many things not to do. All floors will be virtually identical. There will be a room for a hot breakfast, and that kitchen will be available to cater to special events. Parrott said they learned a lot from the Best Western Plus hotels at Winkler and Morden. The new hotel will have a large swimming pool and 3 water slides suited to various ages. The hotel will face west onto Highway 5 and have good visibility from Highway 5 and 16. There will be 12 to 14 staff. Parrott is optimistic the hotel will be up in 14 months, and that will enable the facility to accommodate a couple years of hospital construction workers from the new regional school project, and the proposed reconstruction of Highway 5. The group has 40 shareholders with varying amounts of investment. Best Western Plus is a membership group, not a franchise. A fabulous weekend of food, fun, and music, submitted by Whitemud Music Festival. The organizing committee is pleased to announce that plans are well underway for a fabulous weekend of fun, food, and music in the beautiful Lansdowne Centennial Park in Arden, Manitoba on August the 25th and 26th. This 2-day music festival includes 8 bands, 3 food trucks, and lots of fun. Rush camping is included with your ticket, and there is plenty of room for the biggest of RVs and a great shaded space for tenting as well. As for our performers, Friday night at 8 p.m., the Chris Godoni Band will kick things off performing their blues/rock sounds and are guaranteed to get us in the mood for our Friday headliner, the B31st. This band is all the way from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and is known for their high-energy, crowd-pleasing performances. If you have never seen these guys perform, you are definitely missing out. Saturday at 12 p.m., our day of music starts off with a local act out of Neepawa called Lunch Money. They play a great set of songs that everyone will know and be able to sing along with. Next up is another local group out of Minnedosa called No Maintenance, another great group who perform popular songs we all know and love. The next 2 bands are Westman favorites, Cross Fry, and Full Flannel Jacket. Both bands are Brandon-based and have a proven record of getting people up dancing, enjoying their great song selection and performances. To end the night on Saturday, we are excited to have Cobra Snake Necktie, a great George Thorogood tribute band out of Winnipeg, to take the stage to give us some hard-hitting blues and rock tunes. And the final act to hit the stage on Saturday is another band from Winnipeg called ZZ Topless that will have us all up and rocking to our favorite ZZ Top tunes. What a fantastic lineup for our inaugural festival. Well, that sounds like fun, doesn't it? All right. Neepawa seeks input on future active transportation plans by Owen Devereaux. Neepawa wants you to get active with your opinions when it comes to transportation. The town of Neepawa is exploring the creation of an advanced active transportation master plan and have launched a new survey inviting residents to share their perspective. Active transportation is defined as any type of human-powered travel within a community from one place to another. Walking and cycling are the best examples of this type of model. Town officials are hoping the information you provide to the survey will help them in planning for future infrastructure improvements. It'll also be used to develop a safe and fully integrated network throughout Neepawa to help people get around town safely without using cars. The survey can be located online at the top of the main page of the Town of Neepawa's website. It can also be opened by using the QR code found on the posters located throughout the community highlighting the project. Anyone who completes the survey is entered to win a $250 gift card to a local Neepawa retailer of their choice. The survey will be accessible online until Friday, July the 28th. Interesting. All right, so we read that already. Sports page. Neepawa minor ball teams compete at baseball provincials by Owen Devereaux. A trio of local minor ball clubs were out and about last weekend, proudly representing Neepawa in the Baseball Manitoba Provincial Championships. The under 11 and under AA team visited Altona and were one of 16 clubs to make the tournament. Neepawa was placed in Pool C, which consisted of the host club from Altona as well as teams from Fort Garry and Rock Lake. In their first two games on Friday, July 14th, Neepawa first defeated Rock Lake by the score of 4-3, but then were blanked by Altona by the score of 9-0. In their final round-robin matchup versus Fort Garry, Neepawa was just overpowered by the City Club and lost 11-1. A team from McDonald ultimately won the weekend, beating St. James 6-5 in the championship final. Just a little down the road in Winkler, Neepawa's 13 and under AA team was also competing. Their competition in the round-robin portion of the weekend included teams from Morden, Rock Lake, and Fort Garry. It was a tough opening day for Neepawa as they were defeated by Rock Lake and Morden on Friday, July 14th. They then closed out the road trip with a Saturday loss to Fort Garry. The tournament final would see the host club Winkler win it all, beating Fort Garry 9-3. The third and final baseball provincial for Neepawa last weekend was in Niverville and featured the 15 and under A club. Our team was paired up against Seine River, Lundar, Niverville, and Winkler in the round robin. In their pair of games on Friday, July 14th, Neepawa started off strong with a 10-7 win over Niverville and a 7-4 victory over Lundar. The games on Saturday, however, were not as successful, as Neepawa lost to both Winkler 6-4 and Seine River 4-2. Their 2-2 record put them just outside of advancement into the provincial playoffs. In the tournament final on Sunday, July 16th, Wawanesa/Suras beat Brandon by a final score of 10-9. Congratulations to all the Neepawa clubs on a tremendous effort and a spectacular season overall. Neepawa/Portage series tied. The series between the Neepawa Cubs and Portage Padres has been much more dramatic than many fans of the Santa Clara Baseball League had likely expected. In Game 1 of the best-of-3 series on Friday, July 14th, the fifth-seeded Cubs shocked Portage with a 5-4 walk-off win. That was their fourth time this year that Neepawa has picked up a victory via walk-off. Game 2 would see a similar walk-off win, this time for the Padres. That game also included 7 separate lead changes before Portage locked down the 9-8 victory. Game 3, which is the deciding game of this intense series, was scheduled to be played on Wednesday, July 19th, just after the banner and press publication deadline. Details on that game will appear on the Santa Clara Baseball League website. Oh, Neepawa won 12-7. Oh, was that against Portage? Sorry, I've just been informed that there is a mistake in the paper results and that they won 12-7.
Not a mistake, that's the latest.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I've been informed that it was correct in the paper, and the game that was played Wednesday, July 19th, Neepawa won 12-7. Wonderful for them. So they obviously move on. All right, Minnedosa sweeps Austin. The Minnedosa Mavericks have pulled off an upset in their opening round of the Santa Clara Baseball League playoffs. The 6th place Mavericks, who closed out the regular season with a 4-11 record, have swept the 3rd placed Austin A's 8-7. Perhaps even more unexpected than the win itself is perhaps the manner in which Minnedosa eliminated their opponents, winning 2-0, 13-6, to very quickly win the best-of-3 series. The Game 1 win could be credited to the excellent dual pitching effort of Austin Taylor and John Hutton, who gave up just 3 hits combined over the course of 7 innings. In Game 2, it was much more of an offensive back and forth as hitters for both clubs found their rhythm. While Austin jumped out to a very quick 5-0 lead in the top of the 1st inning, Minnedosa replied with 5 runs of their own in the 4th and 6th innings, respectively. John Hutton was a huge contributor to the Mavericks' success, hitting a home run and adding 4 RBIs to secure the win. John McInnes also aided in the victory, going 2 for 3 at the plate and collecting a pair of stolen bases. Jared Martins, meanwhile, went 1 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs for Austin. With this series upset, the Minnedosa Mavericks now move on to face the top team in the Santa Clara League this regular season, the Carberry Royals, who are 11-4. Game 1 is scheduled for Friday, July 21st in Carberry, while Game 2 is set for Minnedosa for Monday, July 24th. Both are set for a 7:00 p.m. start time. Game 3, if necessary, will be announced shortly, with those details available on the Santa Clara Baseball League website. All right, now we have some Blue Dolphins open swim season results from Hamiota. The Neepawa Blue Dolphins swim team opened up the swim competition in Hamiota on Sunday, July the 16th. It was a cool day, but still the swimmers prevailed and competed. Following are the results from the local athletes. Age 7 and 8 girls. Charlize McSimic, third in the 50-meter backstroke and third in the 25-meter backstroke. Age 9 and 10 girls. Nora Grace Reed, first in the 100-meter breaststroke and the 100 IM and the 50-meter breaststroke. She came in second in the 25-meter butterfly and third in the 25-meter breaststroke. Riley Wilson came in second in the 50-meter backstroke, came in third in the 25-meter butterfly, and came in first in the 25-meter breaststroke, the 100-meter freestyle, and the 25-meter backstroke. In the age 9 and 10 boys, Joey Smith came in first in the 50-meter backstroke, the 50-meter freestyle, the 25-meter freestyle, and the 25-meter backstroke. Wow, good for him. In the age 11 and 12 girls, Taylor Jacobsen came in first in the 100-meter breaststroke, the 100-meter backstroke, the 25-meter breaststroke, and the 100-meter IM, and also came in third in the 50-meter freestyle. And Crossan came in first in the 15-meter backstroke and the 50-meter butterfly, came in second in the 50-meter freestyle and the 100-meter IM, and came in second in the 50-meter butterfly. In the age 13-14 girls, Claranne Howe came in seventh in the 50-meter freestyle, first in the 25-meter breaststroke and the 25-meter freestyle, and came in second in the 25-meter backstroke. In the age 13-14 boys, J.C. Smith came in first in the 25-meter butterfly, the 25-meter breaststroke, and the 25-meter freestyle, and came in fourth in the 50-meter freestyle. In the age 15 to 17 girls, Cami Smith came in first in the 100-meter backstroke, the 200-meter freestyle, the 200-meter breaststroke, the 100-meter freestyle, and the 200-meter IM. Wow, good for Cami. Alea Jacobsen came in first in the 50-meter freestyle and the 25-meter freestyle, and came in third in the 100 IM. A big shout out to Ashley, Alyssa, and Austin Nadeau, who competed at the meet but were unable to be counted because they compete in the winter with the Brandon swim team. The next meet for the Blue Dolphins is scheduled for Sunday, July 23rd over in Winkler. That will be followed up by the Neepawa meet, which is set for Saturday, July 29th at the Neepawa swimming pool. The start time for the event is set for 9 a.m. MGEU members on strike by the banner staff. Liquor workers in the Manitoba Government Employees Union went on strike on July the 19th. According to the MGEU, its 1,400 members have been working under an expired contract with Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries since March of 2022. Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries is a crown corporation owned by Manitobans and controlled by the provincial government. Further details will appear in a future edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Tim Hortons Camp Day returns to Neepawa. Here's a couple of pictures here. Local Tim Hortons customers helped send children to camp on Wednesday, July the 19th. They did so through their support of the annual Camp Day fundraiser. All the proceeds from hot beverages and iced coffee sales across were donated to Tim Hortons Foundation camps to help underdeserved youth. Last year, the initiative raised more than $12 million nationally, and more than $236 million in total has been raised across Canada since 1991. Neepawa and Area 4-H Beef Club by Sviana Bjornsson. The Neepawa and Area 4-H Beef Club held their achievement on July the 4th. We would like to thank all our sponsors for helping us cover our Achievement Day expenses. We couldn't have done it without you. A huge thank you to our club executives this year, President Madison Robertson, Vice President Carson Baker, Secretary Sviana Bjornsson, Treasurer Quinn Sawchuk, Club Reporter Sviana Bjornsson, Scrapbook Ashley Dyke. Our head leaders for 2023 were Shelley Bjornsson and Dallas Robertson. And there's many results here that I'm not going to cover. It's just a little too many. We would also like to thank Richard Bramley for judging and Bruce Rosling for being the ring person. Jody Jury did a great job announcing and pivoting inside during the rainstorm. Thank you also to Leslie McLaren for being the show clerk and our awesome show marshal, Amanda Bradshaw. A very special thank you to Lynn and Brad Oceanic and Doug and Brenda Hodgins for cooking us supper after the show, and to Dairy Queen Neepawa, Pam Brown, for the dilly bars for dessert. Here we have another picture, road reworks in the works around Neepawa. Residents and visitors to Neepawa are sure to have noticed the abundance of orange around town lately. Pylons and barriers have been placed in multiple spots where sections of road have been dug up in preparation for road repair. Here we have a small section of road along Mountain Avenue between the Safeway and the United Anglican Church. Oh. And this area, this huge area here, is the portion of road that was dug up at the corner of Main Street and Mill Street. And this one, another prominent section of pavement to be redone, is located outside the Roxy Theatre on Hamilton Street. And here, where there was a little bit more happening in our town, hedges and a dead tree removed on Main Street. Here it shows a hedge which has been identified by town officials as being on town property along Neepawa's Main Street near Dairy Queen, was removed recently partially due to an accident that had occurred, which prompted the town of Neepawa to conduct an examination of the sight lines along the highway. The examination supposed the hedges to be an obstruction. And here a dead tree on the corner of 4th Avenue and Main Street has been removed. I think there is something else about that. So I'll just go back here. Yeah, here, the thumbs up, thumbs down. A thumbs down for the destruction of a noise buffer hedge at 5th and Main due to one driver's careless driving. It caused little or no obstruction in 45 plus years, as shown in the June 30th banner by Norm Hogarth of Neepawa. A thumbs up to the Margaret Lawrence Home Committee, volunteers, gardeners, artists, and crafters for hosting the Manawaka Garden Party. It was a wonderful display of Neepawa area talent. To those who have never toured the Margaret Lawrence Home or the McPhee's Garden View Farm, please check out these treasures by Pat Fedoruk of Neepawa. I think I'll read one of the letters this week. Usually don't, but I think this is a good one. The Carberry bus crash. If there's political will, we can do better. Enough time has gone by. that the handy van crash that happened on June 15th at Carberry has already fallen off the front page and is becoming old news. As I write this, 7 people are still in the hospital, 1 who is still in critical care. This story is not old news for them, nor is it old news for the families in Dauphin who are still coming to terms with losing their loved ones. And it's also not old news to the people who first arrived on that scene, the members of the general public who stopped, and the first responders from Carberry and Neepawa who saw and heard things that could cause PTSD, which they will carry with them for a lifetime. I have only recently moved back to Carberry after 18 years away, but this intersection has been a problem for my town for decades, longer than the 52 years I've been alive. My first understanding of the danger of it was after a friend of my grandfather's was decapitated there over 30 years ago. In Carberry, we have long memories, and despite MPI's assessment only being 10 years back, we know that there has been many fatalities and accidents there over many, many years. This is a very busy intersection, and it has a median that is too short for semis, trucks with trailers, farm equipment, and buses. Many farmers take their equipment a mile east or west to cross the number 1 because it's just too dangerous at that intersection. Others take their chances trying to cross both lanes without stopping in the middle. Drivers who are unfamiliar with the crossing get stuck in the middle with their butt ends sticking out on the driving lane. The intersection has been made busier now that we have the casino, Spruce Woods Park, the McCain's plant, increased agricultural traffic during seeding and harvest, and many commuters who drive through it daily on their way to work, not to mention that truck transportation has greatly increased, moving almost all goods across the province and country. Surely increased safety should also be warranted. And it goes on to say, at this point, after such a terrible tragedy, we need our politicians and bureaucrats to do better. If you are a concerned citizen, please write your MLA. The election is coming, and this issue must not be brushed under the rug. Or, as so often happens, bureaucrats drag their heels until the problem just gets replaced with 15 others, and people forget. We've been asking for lights at that intersection for decades. Dare we even suggest an overpass? At minimum, reduce the speed to 80 kilometers an hour. When I wrote to my MLA, Eileen Clark, she told me the matter was being investigated by the RCMO, whoever that is, she said, and that the Minister of Infrastructure was aware. What requirements are necessary to have any assessment done at intersections like this? What requirements are necessary to have an incredibly busy and dangerous intersection warrant control and safety measures? Is a massive accident where 16 people died enough of a requirement? How often are assessments and reassessments done so that tragedies like this do not occur? When was the last assessment completed for this intersection? It can't come down to a matter of cost. Who can put a price on 1 life, much less 16 lives, or the many others who have died there who are not accounted for in this editorial? On this matter, we need political will, not just to brush it off to administration. We need political will so we can do better than just a cookie-cutter response from our politicians. We need to do better so that no one else will lose a loved one at that intersection. We need to do better so that our first responders don't have to deal with a devastating scene like that. We need to do better so that workers, semi-drivers, and people en route to Spruce Woods or the casino for some leisure time are not taking their lives in their hands at this crossing. Carberry is now infamous for this crash, and we are a town that is so much more than that. For Carberry and for all our loved ones, We just need our politicians to do better. This is from Beth Proven with support from T. Kutashka, K. Dugay, K. Enns, D. Mezda, and D. Schneider of Carberry, Manitoba. Okay. Homebodies by Rita Friesen. A Straw Bale, it's titled. My sister, the younger, sent a photo of a straw bale she had bought at a roadside kiosk, snug in the back of her vehicle. She never blinked at the $5 she paid for, but reflected on the irony that as much as she appreciated the help in getting it loaded, she was perturbed that the seller recognized her as too old to load it by herself. Many of us are caught in that dilemma at one stage of our life, and so I encouraged her to get used to it. It was the bale that triggered the memories and conversation. We recalled our father collecting bales with his beat-up red Toyota, a truck that became synonymous with the appearance of our father. He loved that truck. The reflection progressed to her memories of Gerald and John, a cousin and his friend, who spent many a summer at the farm, taking pride in how perfectly they could stack a rack of bales and how many they could get on a load. Those were her memories. I remembered the day that John and I loaded an epic load of straw bales, the tallest and shapeliest load one could imagine, only to have Dad tell us to unload it at the neighbor's farm. Mr. Thiessen needed and wanted straw bales, and Dad had promised him a load. Needless to say, John and I were disappointed. Then there was the summer of transition. Dad had returned to university, and the young men who worked for him were accustomed to loading a few bales, engaging in a philosophical discussion, working a bit and talking a bit. Left in charge, I wanted the job done in the least amount of wasted time, and they resented a young snippet ordering their days. Alas, I had forgotten how much I appreciated the start and stop working with Dad, for it was indeed a pleasant and easier way to get a great deal done with what felt like less effort. $5 for one square bale of hay. My sister's comment was that we could have been rich. I asked Gordon to guess the value, and he hoped it wouldn't be more than $3. Nope, $5. A brief pause, and then he added he remembered when they sold for 15 cents a bale. Inflation has hit everyone everywhere. It's a long time since those 15-cent days. Why, that would be when a Coke was 10 cents, as was a bag of chips. One of the things about retirement, well, semi-retirement, is the ample time in a day to remember and reminisce. The further ahead I go, the further behind to observe. My father maintained that the unexamined life was not worth the living. It is safe to say that my very examined life is definitely worth the living. I love how a phrase or a photo can take me down a rabbit hole. There are times when I am surprised at what I see that I missed the other times I entered that same rabbit hole. Age and experience contributing to the new view. May it always be so. Dreams Worth Working and Praying For, Part 6. Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. In one of his many stand-up comedy routines, the late George Carlin made a statement that, though shocking, has proven to be quite true. He said, "In this country," meaning the United States, "you have no rights. If you doubt my words, just do some research on the way Japanese Americans were treated after the Pearl Harbor bombing in World War II. The facts speak for themselves. Roughly 120,000 Japanese Americans, many of whom were living on the West Coast, were relocated to internment camps in Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, Arkansas, Idaho, and Utah. In Canada, 22,000 Japanese Canadians, most of whom lived in BC's Lower Mainland, suffered a similar fate. Regarding the Japanese Americans, Carlin said, they were American citizens who had the same rights as every other American until, with one stroke of a pen, their government took them all away. Carlin went on to argue that what Americans consider to be their inalienable rights are little more than privileges that can be revoked at any time. The same, I would argue, is true in Canada. Section 1 of Canada's Charter of Rights and Freedoms states that an individual's rights can be limited by law so long as those limits can be shown to be reasonable in a free and democratic society. That, of course, raises the questions of who determines what limits are reasonable and what criteria are used when making those decisions. In both countries, these decisions are made by governments. And that is a huge part of the problem. Over the past 30 years, the focus of our country's laws has changed. The rights of an individual are now supreme. So when drafting new laws or even when passing orders in council to ensure public safety, for example, like during a pandemic, governments must ensure that they do not unduly limit an individual's basic human rights. There is always the danger that measures made with the best intentions can be overturned by the courts and their benefits can be lost. In addition, as we saw before pandemic restrictions were fully lifted, governments may have to deal with citizens who resent the restrictions imposed on them and take to the streets to demonstrate their displeasure, all in the name of asserting their rights. Humans were not created to live in isolation, focusing on themselves alone. God made us to live in communities, groups of people who look out for and care for each other, who live as neighbors and work together to make their part of the world a better place for all to live in it. But for that to happen, we must be prepared to give up some of our rights so that we can fulfill our responsibilities to others in our community. Governments cannot force us to yield our rights and act responsibly. We must choose to do so. That choice must be motivated by love for those around us, not just any love, but God's love filling us and flowing through us to touch others. I long to see the day when people will stop talking about rights and start asking how they can act more responsibility to serve their families, their neighbors, their friends, the others in their communities, and most of all, their God. I long to see the day when people will take initiative, do more for themselves, and demand less from governments. Can it happen? Yes. Will it happen in my lifetime? I don't know, but it is certainly a dream working and praying for. All right. It could be very simple, by Ken Waddell, right in the center. My former U of M professor said at a grad gathering to be wary of statistics. Being a good farm girl, she knew what she spoke. She said, a couple of statisticians were out rabbit hunting. They both spotted the same rabbit at the same time and each took a shot. One shot was 2 feet in front of the rabbit. One shot was 2 feet behind the rabbit. On average, the rabbit was dead. Last week, I wrote a column titled, "It Should Never Happen Again." I had one reaction that called it trash. I had one that disagreed with me, and 2 who liked it. On the average, the column was okay, I guess. Last week's column got me thinking more about what I said in it. The farther away from the community reality a decision is made, the worse the decision you get. Right now, we have a lot of decisions being made by people who are totally unaffected by the decision. Case in point is the highway speed zone east of Neepawa on Highway 16. It needs to be reduced. Everyone who travels that piece of road knows that. In the past 20 years, the High Life plant has expanded to 1,700 workers coming and going to the plant twice a day. I can remember when that approach was into a field that would have half a dozen vehicles a year pull in. There is a rental business on that stretch of road now, a Manitoba hydro station, a machinery dealership, and there will soon be an approach to a regional hospital. The speed limits need to be reduced. I think it needs to be reduced to the west of town too. The town of Neepawa has all the appropriate applications but have been turned down. Turned down by whom, you ask? By Manitoba Infrastructure and Transportation, or MIT. It used to be called Manitoba Highways, but the newer, more complicated title speaks volumes. Same task, but made to sound more important. The problem is the MIT staff will tell you that the town of Neepawa, or any other town for that matter, is the traffic authority within their town. That is obviously not the case, or the town decision to lower speed limits would have been implemented months, if not years ago. If, or more precisely when, there is an accident or death on that stretch of road, will the MIT bigwigs take the heat or the town? Also, if the speeds change, the civil servants get paid. If the speeds don't change, they still get paid. Besides, the longer the decision is kept out of local hands, the more studies get done, and the more people who are not affected by the decision get paid to sit on their butt and pontificate. Either the towns are the traffic authority or they are not. Clearly, they are not, and that is just plain wrong. Let me explain just how dumb the process is. Around the year 2000, MIT fought hard against putting in traffic lights at the corner of Mountain and Highway 16, the main street in Neepawa. Study after study was done, and the answer always came back no. Then one day, there was an accident on Mountain, and MIT had to come out and check the location for proper signage, etc. The official in charge pulled into town from the west, and not unexpectedly had to wait and wait for oncoming traffic to go through so he could turn left onto Mountain Avenue. Once it was he who was in danger and delayed in his travels, he was now affected by the lack of lights. The quote I heard was that he didn't care what the traffic count study said, we need lights at that corner. Some years later, with similar but worse problems at the junction of Highway 16 and Highway 5 North, MIT officials were finally convinced to put in lights. With the earlier example in 2000, I was mayor of Neepawa and was fully aware of both the need and the delays, so along with council, had been pushing for change, and it finally came. In the second instance, 10 years later, I was mayor again and was at a meeting where many suggestions were being turned down by MIT. In exasperation, I said, "You have to give us something to go home with." The official said, "Okay, we'll put in traffic lights." Those lights have likely saved lives at that very busy intersection. The case of the speed zone changes mentioned above, in contrast to traffic lights, have almost no cost. It would be a matter of moving 2 to 4 signs. The delays are not needed. Studies aren't needed. Simple action is required, but simple action, even when it's both cheap and obvious, doesn't seem to be part of the MIT department's abilities. And a disclaimer, the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and not to be taken as being the view of the Banner and Press staff. Now, the last thing I'm going to be reading today is Looking Back by Caspar Werhan. 125 years ago, July the 16th, 1898, Moses McFadden spent some days in the valley a short while ago. Several old Hudson's Bay trails have been thrown open, causing much inconvenience to many and only serving a few. 100 years ago, July 17th, 1923, James Walker of Humstone lost a large barn, several sets of harness, and 4,000 oat sheaves by fire on July the 5th. As the fire started about 8 p.m., while the help was at hand, the 10 horses in the stable were got out safely. 75 years ago, July 22nd, 1948, some of the best-known boxers in Manitoba, many of them current champions led by Ed Zaster, Canadian heavyweight champion and Olympic fighter, will be in Neepawa on Saturday, July the 31st. Sponsored by the Neepawa and District Canadian Legion, the proceeds will be in aid of the building fund for the new Legion Hall. T. Evans is chairman of the committee arranging the show. 75 years ago, 50 names are required before the Neepawa Board of Trade can go ahead with the new housing plan with the Central Mortgage Housing Corporation. 50 years ago, in 1973, Veronica Lehman, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Alfred Lehman, graduated July the 6th from the St. Boniface School of Nursing. Veronica attended the Arden School and Neepawa Area Collegiate. We wish Veronica much success in her nursing career in the Deloraine Hospital. And there's even a picture of her in her nursing uniform. And the last one, 20 years ago, July 21st, 2003. No damage was reported after a tornado touched down in a field near Cordova, about 10 miles southwest of Neepawa last Monday. Environment Canada meteorologist Jay Anderson of Winnipeg said the twister touched down for about 5 minutes, a relatively short time period for a tornado. The worst hit part of the province was the Altona area, where baseball-sized hail, coupled with a twister, smashed car windows, flattened crops, and uprooted trees. On Sunday, July 13th, 2003, a group of former students, descendants of former students and friends, were on hand for the unveiling of a cairn to mark the site of the Budka School. Budka School, number 1717, was built in 1914, 7 miles north and 1/4 mile west of Glenella by Albert J. Kuno, a Glenella merchant. So that does it this week for the reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press. So hopefully we'll see you again another time. So bye for now.